Oh man.
Way out here.
Well, I've been building a shop for about the last year, and it's dominated pretty much all of my spare time. So today I said to heck with it, loaded up the FJ, gonna meet Jamie out in the woods with his old Willys. We're gonna go see if we could break everything we own. Well, and in fact, we do have a lot of new stuff to break. Jamie's Willys has new tires, new wheel spacers, new disc brakes, new distributor, new carburetor, new gas tank, etc. It's basically a new rig. My FJ, on the other hand, has a new suspension. I just installed a 2.5-inch lift Pro Comp leaf spring pack with some new Helfer Stout shackles and some Bilstein shocks. And we really haven't tested them yet. So we're just gonna go out today and do some light duty wheeling, see what happens. That said, what was most interesting to me, which is something I've been noticing for quite a while now, is that Jamie's old Willys is far more interesting to watch, more interesting to film, more interesting to photograph.
There you go. Oh yeah!
I'm not quite sure what it is, but I've been pondering this for a while, and I do have a theory. I think it all comes down to suspension. And at any point, jump into the comments and tell me I'm wrong, or tell me I'm right. I don't care. But let me know your thoughts at least. So to start, the FJ has a lot of suspension travel relative to Jamie's Willys. Not relative to a new Jeep, relative to a 1947 CJ2A. And to demonstrate this, what we did is we filmed our rigs doing the same obstacle from pretty much the same perspective. And then in post, I framed them side by side, going up at the same rate up the obstacle, and then I froze it at the apex. And then I placed a line relative to the angle of the body. And I used the front of our fenders for this because it was a good reference point. And then I placed a second line relative to the angle of the axle. And as you can see here, the FJ lines intersect at about 30 degrees or so. However, with the old Willys, the lines are pretty much parallel. Like, there's next to no flexibility in the suspension.
You got about one more foot until you beat Craig. What? Until you beat Craig. One more foot? Yeah. Oh no! You're spilling gas!
So what does that mean? Is that why his rig is more interesting to watch? Maybe. Because what happens is when one of his wheels drops, the opposing wheel or the opposite wheel shoots straight up in the air. And it happens all the time on just about every obstacle. It doesn't matter if it's big or small. When one wheel goes down, another one goes up. And in some cases, if he's crawling a ledge or something, he might have two or... I haven't seen 3 yet, but I'm sure that's coming. It's just the way it is. So is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know. Is it more fun to watch? I believe so. I believe that's what makes an old Willys more interesting than an old FJ. Let me know if I'm right or wrong, though. That's what the comment section is for. So, what's better? Well, I don't know. Because I'm at odds with it. Because on one hand, I could go out on the trail all day long without getting fatigued. When I go through obstacles, I get a little bit of this, I get a little bit of that. But there's no jarring. It's comfortable. My FJ is like a Cadillac compared to the old Willys. On the other hand, Jamie, when he goes through an obstacle, he's being thrown back and forth in some sort of seismic event. But when it's happening, there's usually 1, 2, maybe even 3 tires off the ground, and the grin on his face far exceeds the grin on my face. So, what's better? Well, I don't know. I don't know. Depends, I guess, on the person. Let me know your thoughts. That being said, as far as capability goes, I don't see a difference. Jamie and I, we go through the same obstacles. Now, granted, I get stuck every once in a while where he won't because he has locking front differential and I don't. That is the difference between our rigs. I'm far more comfortable. I got power steering and I got a nice smooth ride and I got cushy seats. Jamie does not. Okay, so that is vastly different. But as far as capability goes, I don't see a difference. Then you have a newer rig. For instance, we're rolling up on this newer Jeep. I don't know if it's a TJ or JK or JLU or JK. I can't keep track with all the different acronyms that Jeep is using to identify their vehicle. But it's vastly newer. It's probably, I don't know, mid 2000s or early 2000s. Not sure. But here it is, struggling to get through a fairly easy obstacle.
Hey! You got lockers in the front?
Yeah.
Nice. That was cool. It's a little slimy through there, ain't it?
Yeah.
And it's slippery, yeah, but he's got front and rear lockers. He's got good tires and he's got a good lift. But he's struggling to get through it. As soon as he gets through, Jamie rolls right through it right after him. Now he bounces around violently, but he gets through it, no problem.
Show off.
And then I come right behind him and I get through it, no problem. I just bounce around less violently. And I do slip a little bit, but again, no front locker. In regards to capability, a rigid suspension does not make you less capable, at least in the trails that we do.
Did your forehead hit the horn button?
Yes.
That's I thought that was pretty hard after watching that. You seen go through.
However, my limit of understanding and knowledge is, down here. There are people up there. Let me know your thoughts. What's better, what's worse? I don't know. Maybe out in Moab when you're climbing waterfalls or something like that, or ledges. Maybe that becomes more of a factor. But here in the Pacific Northwest, we don't have any of that. We have a lot of mud and we have a little bit of rock. It doesn't seem to make a difference.
A few moments later.
Anyways, we enjoyed the rest of the day. I did end up breaking something, but in Tahuya, the trails aren't that bad.
Put it in reverse first.
I got my Dolo.
Oh, that probably worked better.
So you could kind of get through most of it in two-wheel drive. Now, granted, there are some rock gardens up there that you need an extreme rig to do. We don't ever mess with that stuff. We're just doing some light-duty wheeling.
Oh, man.
I have a little bit of an issue between my front drive shaft and my transfer case. I had an accident once where my driveline came off and it marred up some steel and it doesn't quite seat correctly in my output shaft. And I can't ever get my bolts to tighten and stay put. Anyways, they loosened up, they fell out, my drive line fell out again. So I ended up tinkering with that.
You gotta get the shot.
Why are my pants so tight all of a sudden? But it was a good day, and there's something interesting about our rigs anyways. And every time we go out, a few things go wrong. Like my drive shaft, Jamie's got a new leak somewhere around his transmission or transfer case. We're not sure yet. But we put them away and they sit in the shop for a period of time. And a couple months maybe go by and you go out, you start it up, and everything's healed up. There's just something interesting about old rigs. All they need is a little bit of time. And then next time you go out, those issues seem to disappear. So I'm hoping if I let that thing sit long enough, I'll have a brand new drive shaft in the front. I don't think that'll happen. But yeah, it was another good day of wheeling. It looks like I'm crawling through a mall. Going over speed bumps versus Jamie just dropped off a 30-foot ledge. Oh, whatever.
Jeez.
Did it make it worse?
Yeah. He's sitting on a leaf spring. What's going on, Craig?
Well, all the bolts are falling out of my front drive shaft. Well, one of them did. I still have three, but they're finger tight. So I used the biggest crescent wrist I could find.